As living creatures, what are the traits and characteristics that we all share? When we recognize these distinctions and how they work, it enables us to give our human engine more horsepower. Now, Snow White worked with 7 dwarfs. Let us work with and understand the 7 characteristics of life, because success is not a fairy tale. Now, once upon a time, there was a boy named Eli who had a dad that wanted to mentor him in a structured way. He devised a method that he called Project Eli to educate, lead, and inspire his son. As always, you're invited to follow the tutelage that is being shared between them so that you may live happily ever after. Now, you know, Eli, when you're able to understand what it takes to sustain life, it helps you comprehend important elements that enable you to move the process forward. Here's what's enlightening to me. When you compare the biological components to social characteristics, the congruency is amazing. Let's look at the 7 characteristics of life. Now, the first characteristic is that all life forms respond to environment. When there's a blockage of sunlight to a leaf, for example, nature has the plant respond by extending its branch until sun exposure is regained to maximize the sun's nourishing powers. It's apparent that living creatures performing in their natural state are to extend themselves in whatever ways necessary to first overcome negative environmental issues, and second, to take advantage of a different environment/paradigm to consume as much possible sunshine as possible. To be confined to the shade of life is not being in tune with nature. Understand that action is a necessary component to change circumstances from unfavorable to favorable. Don't make the mistake that most people make, namely, to wait for circumstances to change before they take action. A corollary to this law is that people wait to feel like taking action. Remember, the action precedes the feeling. Once you start, momentum increases the feeling. So nature's way is to take action to change circumstances. The second characteristic of life is growth and change. When you look at a seed, Eli, doesn't its appearance resemble something that is not even living, like a pebble? Somehow, when the elements of water, sunlight, and soil are added, it's possible for that small pebble to change dramatically. So too is it for we as individuals. We must seek the elements that enable us to grow and fuse with them to create change and growth. Or, to put it more elegantly, when you remain dormant, you can easily become a doormat. If you remain stationary, people will seek to wipe their feet on you. Continually pursue your water, your sunlight, and your soil to instigate positive personal change and growth. Characteristic number 3 is reproduction. For life to continue, a common trait is to make more organisms like themselves. From a social perspective, reproducing yourself is very common. We very often see an alcoholic father reproduce alcoholic offspring, or we see a religious mom reproduce religious children. Traits are not always reproduced, but we as humans do tend to copy the habits of our teachers. This is why it is important to be selective when, as the leader of an organization, you choose your successor, your mentee, your business child, the person you want to tutor. Remember, species die without reproduction. Now, recognizing that all living creatures have a complex chemistry and that they all breathe is characteristic number 4. Each creature's metabolism, that is, the chemical processes that occur within a living organism in order to maintain life are both the same and unique. Each living creature breathes, but clearly, each creature has a unique, complex chemistry. Now, as humans, this chemistry applies to art, physical capabilities, and love, to name just a few examples. And just as water can turn to ice because the temperature changes, external situations can change the chemistry of a relationship, either personal or business, in a very short amount of time. Or, my son, be aware that you may experience an entity when it is not in its natural state and make a decision based on that condition. You may find later that circumstances change when that entity returns to its most natural chemical state. You see, Eli, my first wife wasn't an iceberg when I married her. Chemistry can change when there are temperature or pressure changes in science, in business, and in personal scenarios. Remember, Eli, many organisms change because they perceive that chemistry change as allowing themselves to breathe more easily. Now, reality tells us that sometimes they're right, and other times they're not. The fifth characteristic of all life is to maintain homeostasis. Boy, that's a big word. I had to look it up. What it means is that a creature has the ability to keep its internal environment stable despite changes in their external environment. An example of that is that we're able to maintain an internal body temperature of 98.6 when the outside temperature is either very cold or very hot. And we as humans, this characteristic can be both positive or negative. When a person of high moral character is challenged with an evil temptation, they are able to make a correct decision based upon their strong moral character. Conversely, when a thief is presented with an opportunity to steal, he will virtually always live up to his name. Or, to put it another way, a leopard doesn't change its spots. This explains the idea that no one can change their innate nature. This is why proper parenting is critical to paint the correct spots on the canvas while it is still blank. All right, Eli, can people change their spots? Yes, they can. But the removal of a tattoo is more common and significantly easier than changing character spots. Keeping this thought in mind will help you make more accurate decisions about people with whom you partner. Life characteristic number 6 is that if you look closely at any organism, you can see that it is made of structures called cells. Organisms that are very different, such as ferns, fish, and elephants, all look similar at the cellular level. A cell is the basic unit of structure and function of all living organisms. All living organisms are made of one or more cells. When you look under the microscope, the cells are similar in appearance. When you look at the entire creature, the appearance is markedly different. Now, Eli, listen to this. As humans, this characteristic is exactly the opposite. When you look at a whole person, we are remarkably similar. We have typically 2 arms, 2 legs, a nose, and so on. Similarly, we're similar. Now, when you look under the internal microscope, we're very different. This is especially true as to emotions, grit, attitude, perseverance, heart, sense of humor, affection traits, and on and on and on. Granted, these are internal spiritual characteristics, but these differences are only revealed through microscopic character inspection. It is therefore possible, Eli, to meet and befriend somebody and discover that he has an evil twin brother. Literally. Remember, birds of a feather flock together. If you want to be an eagle, my guy, my big guy, don't hang around with a squawking parrot or a vulture. The seventh life characteristic is passing traits to offspring. Immediately as a baby, toddler, and child, it is clear that the offspring of any species copies its parents to survive. What if you want your offspring to do more than survive? Well, with Project Eli, my number one aim is to teach you how to think so that you will thrive, succeed, and advance in life and reach your objectives. The success formula that we have reviewed many, many times is the foundation of accomplishment. When you find yourself meandering, as we all do from time to time, it is best to go back to basics. It is wise to return to the formula and see where you have strayed off track. The subject of leadership is the artful way that you enable your team to make use of the success blueprint as a collective entity. Additionally, my aim with Project Eli is to teach you that there are success traffic laws to be followed that act consistently, just like the laws of gravity and electricity. Now, these laws have a cause and effect result that is different from what is practiced by 95% of the population. So, I am fighting 19-to-1 odds. That's why I'm repeating these concepts with you repetitively and from different angles and paradigms. One of the laws in the Success Blueprint is thought repetition. My faith in the laws, my faith in the blueprint, is what motivates me logically. My love for you, Eli, is what motivates me emotionally and chemically. Now, it's been said that if there's a particular item that you're seeking, that Walmart might be a good place to begin your search. Next time that we reassemble, we will consult with them to highlight success procedures. I'd be most interested in your comments and suggestions concerning issues of relevance that challenge you and others. Now, please help spread the message of Project Eli with appropriate individuals as well as their evil twins. Our thought for the day is by Dr. Henry Link. Quote, "We generate fears while we sit. We overcome them by action." And because we never end a meeting on a philosophical note, get out there and charge. I'm Eli's dad.